Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about home defense, specifically your mindset. Okay, and we're talking about this in the context of the coronavirus epidemic. And the reason why I bring that up is because we are hearing reports that police have made statements that they're not going to be responding to what they consider to be minor crimes. Okay, and that list may grow in the future. You know what they consider to be minor crimes. So if we're the victim of a home invasion, we don't know if they will respond or they won't respond. So we want to have a plan in place. We always want to have a plan in place. The difference here is that in this particular environment, we may have to deal with the possibility that the police may not be showing up, for some time. Now, normally, we don't expect that the police will be immediately there as somebody is breaking into your home. So we have to have plans to deal with a home invader. But going forward, we may also need to consider the possibility that they may not show up for an hour or a few hours or maybe a day or who knows. So again, we wanna consider that. Not that it will happen, but we wanna consider that. Okay, so as far as the home defense mindset, okay, we get the sense that something really bad is happening. Your window just got broken. Somebody's somebody's got a crowbar, and you feel that the door's being broken open. First thing you want to do is get your family to the safe room. Okay, so number one and number two on this list is family and safe room. And the safe room is a room that you've already decided in advance, and that's the key component here. Is you already made a plan. You've decided which room you would like to have your family in. Okay, in a lot of homes, it's the master bedroom, but it doesn't have to be that. It might be some other room. It might be the basement. In prior videos, I have discussed certain considerations. For example, if you pick the master bedroom, and the doorway is basically that line in the sand. You want to know where your bullets are going to go. When they go through the guy, or if you miss the bad guy, where they're going to end up, and you may see that that's going straight across into my neighbor's house. So maybe you might decide that another bedroom or another room might be a better selection because if you're guarding that doorway and you're shooting through that funnel of death, right, that narrow corridor, that the bullets are going to be going into a wooded area. So you've already selected in advance a safe room, all right, and you want to get your family into that safe room, and then you want to get your guns, okay? And the reason why I say I have get your guns third, not first, is because I don't want to be getting my guns while my family is running around in confusion trying to figure out where to go. Now, all this may be happening simultaneously, especially if I have a second adult in the house. I would tell that second adult, get the kids, get them into that safe room while I go get my guns, okay? But if there has to be an order to things, it's get your family to the safe room and then get your guns, rather than go looking for your guns first and then trying to figure out where your family is, meanwhile somebody's already broken into your house. So now you have to deal with fighting this person while not knowing where your other family members are. So especially if I'm gonna get engaged in a gunfight, I want to know where my family is. So that's why I had this order: get your family to the safe room first, then get your guns. Okay. Then I want to get into my ambush position. Again, this is something that you want to have planned in advance. Where exactly do you want to position yourself, and what direction do you want to be shooting in, okay? Now, in my particular case, I want to be at the top of the staircase behind cover, shooting down the staircase, okay? I want the bad guys, okay, in a narrow corridor, okay? So think of like the 300 Spartans, right? You want to get your bad guys in a narrow corridor, because if I'm at the top of the staircase, right, behind cover with an AR-15 30-round magazine, okay, it doesn't matter if there's 10 guys coming up that staircase, okay? AR-15 rounds are really good at going through multiple bodies. So I want those rounds going, each round is going to hopefully go through multiple bodies, okay, and then pass through all of them, and then it's going to just go straight down into the basement and I don't have to worry about it going into a neighbor's house. So that's why it's important to pick an ambush position. Know where you're going to be in advance. Basically you want to have your bad guys coming up a narrow corridor. It could be a hallway. It could be a staircase. If you don't have any of that, then at least make it a doorway, someplace where you can funnel them into a tight, narrow corridor. So for one thing, even if it's just a doorway, if you shoot the first guy and the first two guys and they drop or they're injured and you'll stop the people coming in behind them. Okay, so it will at least cause a traffic jam at the point that they're trying to attack you. Okay. Now the other thing is, I want to get into my ambush position. I want to, which I've already selected as a narrow staircase. I want to have a light at the other end. Okay, so like in my case, I have a night light that's always on at the bottom of that staircase. But one of the things that you want to do is, you want to, wherever your safe room is, have multiple flashlights in that room, and they can even be the cheap $2 ones. Have multiple, disposable flashlights. If we get into a situation where, I'm in my ambush position and I'm just listening, nothing's happening, I would tell my wife, okay, give me a couple of lights. And maybe I would throw the lights, if I didn't have a light at the bottom of my staircase, I might throw a light at the bottom or at the end of the hallway or whatever your position is. So have a couple of extra lights. So if things don't happen immediately, you can at least throw a light at the other end and you can, you can see what happens. You might see some shadows, you might hear something, just throwing a light at the other end might get them to freak out. Because remember, it's not just your mindset, it's also their mindset, okay? They came into the house, okay, and they knew that people were in the house, right? Because they saw, they heard commotion as you were moving up into your safe room, and now all of a sudden they're in the house and there's nobody there. Like, oh shit! Now they're waiting for us. So by getting yourself into a good ambush position, all right, and being organized and having a plan in advance, there's a good chance that by itself may cause them to leave because that's not what they were looking for. They were looking for an easy target, and all of a sudden, they're in this house where it feels like a trap to them. Okay, so that's a good place for you to be. Now, you also want you're in your ambush position. You have to have a line in the sand, a line in the sand where it's okay if they come past that third staircase or that fourth step right on the staircase. I'm opening fire. Okay. That has to be pre-programmed in your mind, okay? Now, one of the things that you may want to consider is calling out warnings, okay? Not firing warnings, calling out warnings, okay? Really loud, listen, get out of my house, I'm up here, I'm armed, if you come up here, I'm going to defend myself. That kind of stuff sounds really scary to the people at the bottom, or people at the other end who were not expecting you to be prepared like this, okay? So that's something to consider. Now, the other thing that you want to consider is the role of a second adult in your house, okay? What's their role? And a lot of times people initially think that, okay, arm the second adult and get them right next to you. And that, for me, that's not the best place. That's not how I'm going to make best use of that second adult. Because if I'm at the top of the staircase with an AR-15, pointing it down towards a narrow corridor, right, and I'm behind cover, that's more than enough gun. The second adult, who in my case would be my wife, I want, if the phone is still working, I want her calling the police, and if she can't call the police, then calling the neighbor, okay? Why would she be calling the neighbor? Now, what I want from the neighbor is information. What do they see? How many cars do they see outside the house? What do they see happening? So I want to get as much information from my neighbor as possible. Now, if another possibility is just simply for your wife or for the second adult to carefully look out the window and see what's going on, without exposing too much of herself, and give you information. So I want to use the second adult to give me as much information as possible. To basically control the kids so that they don't get in my way, to call the police if possible. Okay, so that's what I want from a second adult, while I'm in my ambush position. And everything that you see here that I just said, you can see why the AR-15 is really the best gun to have in a position like this. It puts a single person in a position where one person can potentially fight off 10, 15, 20 guys in a narrow corridor, right? And then I can use the second adult, to do something else, okay? The most important thing is you want to keep that second adult calm if it's your wife, okay? So that's something you got to have that discussion with her. Her screaming doesn't help the situation. Her giving you information helps you a lot more, okay? So you want to get as much information, and she doesn't, and not necessarily screaming the information to you, because she can quietly tell it to you, because remember, you're probably not going to be that far away from her, so you definitely don't want to get her in freak out mode. You want her conveying useful information to you about what's happening outside, what your neighbor might be seeing. And I talked about in a prior video, if the communications get cut off, cell phones are not working, I talked about the possibility of maybe running a rope between your house and your neighbor's house with bells at the end, so you can at least notify each other that way. And you can all, at least this way they also know that there's something going on over there. And potentially that's another set of guns pointed out the window at the guys, at anybody that might be outside the house. Make sure that they're not shooting into your house. Make sure that in advance they know that if there's any shooting to be done, they're going to be shooting not into your house, but at the bad guys that are outside of your house, maybe shooting into your house, okay? Now, beyond that, let's talk about if the shooting actually starts, okay? Again, we're talking about mindset. What can you expect? It's going to be loud and it's going to be fast, okay? And here's the thing, I keep a pair of earmuffs near my home defense guns, okay? And not just for me, but for my entire family. In a situation where you have time to, get into your ambush position, get the guns, get the earmuffs. It's not just a question. It's not just a matter of not damaging your ears, okay, which are going to be basically you're going to be like crackhead alert, okay, if there's gunfire in your house and it's echoing back into your ears, it's going to numb you, okay? So you're going to lose your senses. Having earmuffs will allow you to stay a lot more alert and know what's going on. And once the shooting starts, because once you give your warning, right? You call out your warning. You put your earmuffs on. At that point, it's a and especially if you got the electric ones, that's even better, right? By all means, get yourself electric ones, get your wife electric ones. This way you can communicate with each other. But from that point forward, it's more of a seeing thing. You draw that line in the sand, and once they cross that line, you're going to open fire. Okay, so once the shooting starts, there's going to be screams. There's going to be confusions. There's maybe your wife, your kids screaming, confused, or maybe the bad guys at the other end of the stairs. They might be screaming. So the other thing to expect is a lot of smoke and coughing. Okay, that's something that people don't consider. That if you're shooting guns indoors, the smoke with just a few rounds builds up really quickly. So it's going to be hard to breathe. So expect smoke and coughing. And outside, like I said, once all this, once all the shooting stops, right? Try to get a sense of what is going on. Okay, now, get a sense of what's going on outside through the second adult. Either by that person, visually looking outside through the window, or through your neighbor, on the phone, if that's possible. But try to get a sense of what's going on the outside the house. Did another car just pull up? Are there more bad guys coming? So get a sense of what's going on outside the house. Question now, okay, clear the house. Do you clear the house or don't you clear the house? If you don't need to clear the house, don't clear the house. Basically, if I'm at the top of the stairs in an ambush position, there's no need for me to rush to clear that, to figure out if there's any bad guys still alive in the house, okay? I'm in a really good position, okay? Let them come to me, okay? Unless there's a real need to clear the house, especially if I get the sense that at some point in the next hour or two, the police are eventually going to show up. There's no reason for me to rush to leave my good position, okay? So don't be in a rush to clear the house unless you absolutely need to do it, because and there might be reasons for that. Maybe you have a family member that's still that's unaccounted for. You don't know where they are in the house because things just happen that fast. So there may be a need for it. So I'm not completely discounting it. But if you don't need to clear the house, if you don't need to go and search the house to see if there's any more bad guys, don't do it. Wait for the police to arrive. That's an option. If there's no police, then maybe you get some more information from your neighbor. At least let your neighbor clear the outside of the house. Make sure there's nobody out there. And then at least at that point you know that you only have to deal with the people inside the house, not anybody outside the house. Okay. And again, like I said, communication. Try to communicate as much as possible. Okay. Now, the other thing that's gotta come into this is at some point is the legal mindset. Okay. Now, depending on what the situation is, at some point you're probably going to have to deal with you're going to have to give a legal accounting. Okay. Now, it might be that the police are going to be showing up in 10 minutes. Or it might be that they're going to be showing up in 2 hours. It might be that they're going to be showing up in a few weeks or in a few months. But at some point, you're going to have to give some type of a legal accounting. And once the shooting is over, start at least give that some consideration. One thing that I like to do is start jotting down some notes. Not necessarily to give to the police, but to give to your lawyer because you may not remember what happened. Okay, or in one point, your neighbor may not be available in a couple of months or in a couple of weeks. You know what the situation is. So try to get a written statement from your neighbor as to what happened, what they may have seen, so that eventually when you do have to talk to a lawyer and give a legal accounting, you're able to do so without putting yourself in jeopardy. Okay. So a couple of things for you to consider. Like I said, this video was about your mindset. What are you thinking about? Both before, during, and after something like this happens. If you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it. If you're not a member, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.